keeping with the theme of pulled from the headlines, spoken at the water cooler, stopped in the streets, on the chat. People are talking about things that are relative to boxing that don't meet the standard of a pedigreed, elevated discussion that Sean and I attempt to have at every offing, but are absolutely being discussed and catching our eyes as the headlines that are boxing relative come down the pike. And so we believe that there's a casual conversation to be had too. We don't always have to be highbrow and be dealing with the deep depths of the science, but there's a casual you know what, maybe I was going to call this pulled from the headlines, but you know what I'm about to start calling it? Casual conversations.
Okay.
This conversation begins with an Adrien Broner, and while there will be levity in this discussion, I will start on a serious note, because I'll have to remind you that in the past years, this is a man who has, on social media, threatened to off himself, and with the frequency and in darkest moments when some of us, including myself, believed he might be serious, reached out to him, messaged him, especially when he first started doing that. He hooked us. Like, I really thought, hey, we can't lose this guy. Let me try. Other people try. We've seen him in moments that appear to be alcoholism, potential deep depression. We've seen him do a lot of things, even at his height, that were questionable. But at his lows, even no matter how you feel about the guy, is hard to watch. Not sure where he was headed, but worried for the last several years that it might be to a terrible end, a really bad place. And Sean can attest that we've had this conversation off camera multiple times. I've talked about, like, what is up with Adrien Broner.
Like 10 years ago.
And at times he makes himself such a hard guy to like that it's hard to find ongoing sympathy for him, because he just seems to not be able to get out of his own way and be, almost committed to having issues. So from that perspective, to teaming up on stream with, is it
Deen the Great?
Deen the Great, who's not great.
No.
It's not great. The only reason I knew this guy before this Broner collab was because he was getting slapped around in public, and rightly so. I would not have known that these two could be the savior of Adrien Broner. This collab, I think, pulled Broner out of the mud. And I've been fascinated to watch it and entertained by it. And Broner seems in his element. Like, this might be the new chapter of the problem.
Well, my knowledge of Deen the Great predates yours. You knew him getting slapped around outside in these streets. I knew him from getting smacked around in the boxing ring by Amado Vargas after he called the lovely Martha Vargas a slew of names and even slurs, I think. And then Amado Vargas pieced him up in the ring and beat him in a fight. So that's where I first knew of him. Adrien Broner, I'll start off a little tough. There's a story that I remember. I was covering his fight with Jesse Vargas, right? And this was Broner towards the do-or-die portion of his career, where he had already lost to Mikey Garcia. He had already lost to Sean Porter, obviously Marcos Maidana. And it was getting to the point where, even though he was a star, and actually, it's funny, I talked with my wife this morning and I go, Hall of Fame Adrien Broner. This is something that has come up for people, right? And I'm like, now, Jesus, I guess technically the name of the thing is called the Hall of Fame. It's not called the Hall of Excellence, like the pretentious museum here in Las Vegas hosted by Jim Gray and Tom Brady, which I did go to. And shout out to Jim Gray. Been nice to me the last few times I've seen him. He's hosting kids. He's big in the community, actually. The Summerlin Baseball League out here for Little League, which wound up producing a team that made it to the Little League World Series. Jim Gray has been helpful in the community with that, donating to it lots of money and his time. So shout out to that. But it's still a pretentious place, the Hall of Excellence, right? And the Hall of Fame is called the Hall of Fame. And I was like, well, okay, if I'm to go with the letter of the law of the Hall of Fame, he was, look, in the last 10 to 15 years, after Floyd Mayweather, Gervonta Davis, Terrence Crawford, after that, you could argue Adrien Broner, even against much actual great fighters like Andre Ward, and contemporary fighters around right now like Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, you could argue he was more famous than Andre Ward. Gold medalist, top 5 super middleweight who ever lived, light heavyweight champion, Andre Ward. You could argue Adrien Broner was more famous. You know I beat that boy, and all the ridiculous viral stuff that has happened in his career to go along with like being a four division champion. Okay, and we use we use that loosely. It's like, was Adrien Broner a great fighter? No. Was he a really good fighter? For one night in Atlantic City against Antonio DeMarco in 2012, yes. Was he a good fighter? Sometimes. But was he a famous fighter? Yes. And if you...
Absolutely.
Right. So he may even be a Hall of Famer, to the name of the word.
He should be in the Hall of Famous.
Hall of Fame. Okay, right. And always to me. So anyways, back to the, I'm so long-winded. I'm sorry, world. Back to the story. Thomas Hauser is sitting next to me early in the cold hours of the Barclays Center for the press conference. Adrien just got done cursing out Leonard Ellerbe and saying, "I'm not going to lose to no Jesse Vargas. You got me fucked up." But in the midst of all that, when they go to him, when Brian Custer goes to him to talk about the fight, he puts his phone to the speaker and it's "Making My Way Downtown," right? Whatever that song, and I need you, and the whole Terry Crews from White Chicks. I never even seen that movie, but I know I've seen that scene. And Thomas Hauser, the biographer of Muhammad Ali, one of the heads of the Boxing Writers Association, he leans back and he says under his breath to me, he goes, "He really is an asshole." Because I'm mildly amused. Other people in the media are very amused. And Hauser he really is an asshole. And with a smile on his face, a little bit, but more contempt than the smile. So that moment helps summarize part of Adrien Broner's shtick. Okay? Now, but the reason why I can still empathize for Adrien is, you told me this the other day. If you can make me laugh, that goes a long way. It makes up for a lot. And Adrien has always found a way to make me laugh. Whether he's the butt of the joke or whether we're laughing with him, whatever. He's always been able to make me laugh. And I've seen another side from him. Another story time, right? He's getting ready to fight Pacquiao. And to me, everything since Pacquiao has been an afterthought. That really was his last hurrah, his last chance. He made it the distance with Pacquiao, clearly, handily lost. Did that viral interview afterwards, and then had a funny follow-up months later when Pacquiao beat up Keith Thurman and was, I was getting cooked. And he did that, with Ben, my man Ben from Fight Hype. That was a hilarious interview. Great quote Ben got that night. Adrien, you didn't go down like that, huh? Ben knows how to press the buttons to get the good quote. And that was his encore to the Pacquiao. But ever since then, it's been sad, And I don't wish that on Adrien. Because heading into the Pacquiao fight, he was saying, "Hey, come meet me at the Hot and Juicy Crawfish," right? And he invited fans to come down to see him. I went down to get an interview. He's there with his crew, his people he trusts. And in the middle of dinner, he lets me interview him. I throw a lot of fastballs his way about his punch output not being enough to beat a Pacquiao. What are you going to do? He stands and delivers, sits and delivers, lets me sit with him and his whole crew of people he trusts, and he sits and delivers and answers these tough questions I was asking him heading into the Pacquiao fight. And he's always been actually a pretty nice guy to me. I've actually seen him be a dick to you once or twice when you're chasing him out the Barclays and you were being persistent. Multiple times. Been a dick to you, right? But I say all this to say I've seen the other side of Adrien other people might not have seen, and I hope for him the best, genuinely. And I even think he missed his calling in the 2010s in entertainment, which I think was distracting him anyways. He was going on rap tours and everything. He can be funny, and I wished he could have found his lane. Well, guess what? In the 2020s, with people like Deen the Great and many others, if you provide stupid bullshit and even slop, there's a huge market for that. And you don't even have to be young to do it. You could be at any age. And if you satiate the appetite for stupid bullshit in today's society, you can make a good living. So maybe Deen the Great has opened the lane for Adrien Broner to do as such. And Godspeed to him. If anyone should be making money off of dumb shit, it should be AB. He earned the right to do it.
The problem child could potentially make Deen actually great. This could be
Let's calm down.
The greatest comedy pairing since Lewis and Martin. These two goofs are actually kind of funny and charming together, and I don't like either one of them in their current states separately. Like the day before this collab stream happened, if you ask me about either one of them, it is, from me, a devastating takedown of where each of them are at for very, very, very different reasons. But somehow, together, it's like we never got a proper sequel for Dumb and Dumber, right? This is it. And Dumb and Dumber is like one of my favorite all-time movies, Sean.
A lot of people.
This is the reality version.
Love it. I know.
It's incredible.
Wait, can I interject? It's like one guy was. It's like a PG-13 shitty, but it's good comedy. One guy was down and out on his luck, and he went through the ring and through the ropes. He's like, I can't fight anymore? You mean I'm not a champion anymore? The other was getting smacked around constantly. He's like, but what if the two of them together could take over Hollywood? Raheem presents the Dumb and Dumber sequel you've all been waiting for. Right, no, I follow. It's coming to me now. It's coming to me now.
Done.